So in this 40th lecture, today I'll discuss some performance parameters of half-wave rectifier, and I'll start with the average current, average or DC, or it is also called the mean current. Average current or DC current or the mean current. Now before actually I come to this topic, how you derive this average current or mean current, there are certain performance parameters. Let me give you called performance parameters, of course, of rectifier, whether you talk about any rectifier, whether half wave or full wave or a bridge rectifier. Full wave can be center type or a bridge rectifier. There are certain performance parameters, means certain parameters on which the performance of a rectifier is visualized, and those parameters are, in all the rectifiers we'll study them. First is the DC value. It is called DC, or it is also called the mean value or the average value. One and the same thing. Average value of both currents and voltages. That is, what is the DC value or the mean value of the output current that we obtain from a rectifier. Second is the RMS value. I'll just come to this in detail. RMS value, that stands for root mean square value. Third, we'll discuss the rectifier efficiency. Rectifier efficiency. Then another parameter is the ripple factor. Ripple factor. And one more point we'll discuss, that is called PIV. This PIV stands for peak inverse voltage. Peak inverse voltage. And one more parameter that we'll discuss is called TUF. TUF, that stands for transformer utilization factors. Based on these factors, based on these parameters, we'll analyze the performance of any rectifier, or we'll make a comparative study of half wave and full wave rectifiers. So first I'll start, as I've done, the half wave rectifier with you. So let's come back to this half wave rectifier, and I'll start with this IDC, DC value or mean value or the average value of this half wave rectifier. Now we have already seen that in a half wave rectifier, if this is the input voltage, if you remember in the last lecture, this is the circuit diagram of a half wave rectifier, and if this is the input voltage and this is the output current that we obtain, we have seen that only half of the wave has been rectified. Only half. This one, for this particular section, for between omega t, between pi to 2 pi, the value of this, the output is 0. Here also, between this 3 pi to 4 pi, this is 0. That is, in general, we say between omega t, between pi to 2 pi, this is 0. And for this region, between 0 to pi, it was equal to Im sin omega t. So I'm just rewriting this again. That is, what we have done, if this is the input wave, we have discussed that if this is the input wave, let's see it like this. If this is the input wave, of course this is omega t on this side, and suppose I say that this is the input voltage Vi, and the instantaneous value of this, I assumed that the value, instantaneous means the value at any instant, the equation of this wave is Vm sin omega t, where this is Vm, this maximum amplitude is called Vm. Of course this is pi 0, this is pi, this is 2 pi, 3 pi, and so on. And the output that we obtained from this, output of this rectifier that we obtained, it was something like this. if this is omega t, I dropped these points here. This is pi, then this is, of course, 2 pi is dropped down here, 3 pi is dropped down here, then of course this is 4 pi, and so on. And the wave which we obtained, the output that we obtained, of course this is the output voltage. Suppose I say that this is the output voltage I. The output voltage which I obtained was something like this. It was a sinusoidal nature for this half, 0 to 2 pi, sorry, 0 to pi, and it is 0 for between pi to 2 pi. Then again it is this much, and we got an output waveform like this. This is the output current I. Similarly, output current V will also be of same nature, no doubt. So this is 0, this is pi, omega t is varying from this much, 0, pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, and so on. Working, I told you how it, during this cycle, the diode acts as a closed switch, forward bias. Here it is reverse biased, acting as an open switch, and the current produces 0. So here I can say that the current, the output current which I obtained, I am saying this output current across the load, this is I which I obtained from here. I can say that this I is equal to Im sine omega t. This we obtained. This is equal to Im sine omega t when this omega t is between 0 and pi for this section, and this factor is equal to 0. This I is 0 for this section. It is 0 when omega t is between pi and 2 pi. And also I discussed with you that this value is Im. This is Im. If you see, I am saying that this is Im. This is the value of Im. Maximum value of this output current. Maximum value of this output current. And we also told you that this Im maximum will occur, this maximum will occur when V is equal to Vm. This is Vm. This is Vm. So it is equal to Vm upon Rf plus RL. I have already discussed this point with you. This I is equal to Im sine omega t for omega t between 0 to pi, and it is equal to 0 for omega t between pi to 2 pi, and of course this Im is equal to Vm upon Rf plus RL. This I have discussed with you. Now let's talk about the average current or DC current, or what is the mean current of this. Now again try to understand this. See, suppose actually pure DC, as I told you, is of this nature. Pure DC, say this is time and time axis, and suppose, or omega t, and say this is your voltage V. Pure DC is of this nature. That is, suppose I need a 10 volt DC straight line. This means it is constant 10 volt for t from 0 to infinity. It is providing you constant 10 volt. But if this rectifier, if you see, the output of this rectifier is a pulsating one. So this is not a pure DC, it is a pulsating DC. But we say that let's find some average value of this. Average value means, say suppose at this point it is 0 volt. This is 1 volt, 2 volt, 3, 4, 5. Suppose this maximum is 10, 9, 8, 7, 9, 7, 6, 5, 0. And so on. So let's say, it says that let's find out some average value of this. That is, we are interested in some average value or the DC value of this. Here suppose I say that here the average will occur. So this is the average value. And I name this as I average. This point I am interested in. Let's find out the average value of this. Now, it's a continuous function. For discrete time function, you know how to find the average of anything. Suppose I say that you are 50 students in the class, and I say that find the age of the 50 students of the class. You simplify it, that one is having age 16, another is having 15, plus another is having 16.5. The age is this. I add all of them and divide by the number of students. That is how you find the average of a discrete term. But since it is a continuous function, now I'll find the average value. I say that what is the average value? I represent this by I average, or I say it is IDC, whatever. In many books it is written I average or IDC. Average value or mean value or DC value, that is I am interested in the average value of this, since it is not providing me a fixed DC here of a fixed value. So I say that suppose there is some average value of this and I am interested in this average value. So how you find the average of this? I take one period. If you see, this is a periodic signal which is repeating after 2 pi. If you see this here, it repeats again, this repeats, but say this is 4 pi. With an interval of 2 pi, this is, look at this, 2 pi minus 0. This interval is 2 pi. Then 4 pi minus 2 pi. Again it repeats. So the interval is 2 pi. So what I do, I take the area under this curve divided by the time period of this curve. That is how you find the average. Now area under this curve. Okay, one more thing. For simplicity, I assume that let this omega t is equal to theta. Let's say I replace this, that let this omega t is equal to theta. Just for simplicity of the calculation, I am assuming that this omega t is equal to theta here. So average value, I can say it is equal to, it is equal to, average value is the area under this curve. Area under this curve means I d theta. D theta means omega t. Area under this curve will be, I'll have to integrate this. Integrate 0 to 1 period is 2 pi. Integration from 1 upon 2 pi I d theta, and average of this means divided by the time period of this, and it is equal to 1 upon 2 pi. This is how you find the average or the mean value of any continuous function. I take a small strip d theta here, integrate over this, will give me a kind of sum here, and sum divided by the total time period in discrete one. It will provide me the average. So here it is integration over one period. This integration over one period divided by the time period. So it is equal to this much. And now I can say that the value of this IDC. I am writing IDC, or it can be I average also. IDC. I can say it is equal to 1 upon 2 pi. 1 upon 2 pi. I break this integral by the property of definite integral 0 to 2 pi as 0 to pi plus pi to 2 pi I d theta. I d theta. I d theta. I hope this is clear to you. I have simply applied this 1 upon 2 pi as it is, and this has been broken into 0 to pi and pi to 2 pi. Now the value of this from 0 to pi, this theta, omega t means theta. This theta means omega t. This theta varying from 0 to pi. For this 0 to pi, I can replace this by theta. This is theta. Of course, this is theta. This is theta. So for between pi to 2 pi, the value is I am sine theta. Here it is I am sine theta. The instantaneous value of this is I am sine theta. Instantaneous value of this, I told you, it is I am sine. I am writing omega t since I have written omega t here. So it is equal to I am sine theta. So I can say it is equal to 1 upon 2 pi. The value of this will be, of course, for integral 0 to pi, value of I for 0 to pi is I am sine theta. So it is I am sine theta d theta. And for this particular region, for between pi to 2 pi, value of I is 0. Value of I is equal to 0 for theta between pi to 2 pi. So naturally this factor I can say this is 0, and I am writing this plus 0. It is equal to this much. Now it is simple trigonometrical functions that I have to solve. IDC, or I can say this IDC is equal to this IM is constant. I can say it is IM upon pi. IM is constant. Integration of sine theta will be minus cos theta. So I integrate this. It will be minus cos theta. The limits are from 0 to pi. Or I can say that this is equal to, I take this minus sign common here, minus IM by pi, and of course this factor will be cos pi minus cos 0. I'm writing this cos pi minus cos 0. I hope that this is clear to you. And now cos pi is minus 1, cos 0 is 1. So value this cos pi, I am writing here only, this cos pi is minus 1 and this factor is 1. So minus 1 is minus 2. Rather it will be 1 upon 2 pi. It is 2 pi. So I can say it is equal to IDC is equal to IM minus IM upon 2 pi and this factor into minus 2. This minus minus cancels and this cancels from here. This implies that the value of IDC, average value of this, is equal to IM by pi. And one of the very important relation that we'll use in the numericals also, in the design part also. That is the average value of half wave rectifier, the output of half wave rectifier. It is, remember, it is this IM upon 2 pi. Let's find out the average current. Let's also find out the average voltage. Average or DC voltage. Of course, average or DC output voltage I am talking about, of the output everywhere. It is for the output of rectifier. This is also for the output of the rectifier. And suppose I represent this by VDC. VDC. Now look at this. What will be VDC? This VDC value, it means here this is my load. This diode is performing the rectification. The rectification is done by this rectifier, and at this output across this load I am getting a pulsating DC voltage or DC current. So naturally, if I have to find the VDC here, it means I am interested a DC voltage across this. The DC voltage across this will be IDC into RL. V is equal to IR. So across this load resistance RL. So value of VDC, I can say it is equal to IDC into RL. V is equal to IR. DC voltage. Where will I obtain this DC? I am interested in the DC voltage across this load only. So I am finding this. It is equal to VDC is equal to IDC into RL, and IDC I have just derived that this IDC is equal to IM by pi. So it is IM by pi into RL. Now we know that this IM is equal to VM. This IM is equal to VM upon RF plus RL. So I can say that this VDC is equal to IM is VM upon RF plus RL. So I am writing this IM as VM upon RF plus RL. This pi is already there into RL. Now one more thing. What I do, that since this RF is far less than RL, normally the resistance, the forward resistance of this diode is of the order of few ohms, and we take this RL as the order of few kilo ohms in order to obtain the maximum drop here. We need maximum voltage. If the current is fixed, all I can do is that I can increase the resistance here, so value of this load resistance, so that maximum drop will be across this load resistance. So since I am writing here, let's write down, since I want to finish this in this page only, since RF is far less than RL. This RF is far less than RL means I am assuming that if this RF is tending to 0, or rather I can say this ideally this is 0. RF is 0 and this RL will cancel. This implies that I'll obtain that this VDC. This implies that. With the help of this assumption, we can say that VDC is equal to VM by pi. VM by pi. Another one of the very important relation that we'll use in our design part as well as in the numerical parts also, that VDC is equal to Vm by pi. So this is the average current and average output volt, average output current and average output voltage, or I can say the average value of output current, or I can draw average voltage also, the voltage signal for this output voltage, and the average voltage of average value of that voltage will be equal to this VDC is equal to Vm by pi. I hope that this is clear to you how you find the average value. Average value means area under one period divided by the time period. So area under one period is this integration over one period integration of this I, of this function I. This is the I function. So integration of this over one period divided by the time period. I hope that this is clear to you. So I'll move to the next performance parameter, that is the RMS value, and we'll discuss this RMS value in the next lecture. So thanks for the time being.